Hi, welcome. I'm maryjo with Fourth Dimension Healing in Stillwater, Minnesota. I'm also the director of the Center for Crystal and Healing Studies, which is my online school where I offer a wide range of both free mini courses and more in-depth fee-based courses in crystal healing, energy healing, self-care practices, and meditation. I also offer a crystal healer certification program as well. So if you're interested in taking a look at any of that, you'll find a link below this video. Today, as you can see, I have a number of different shapes and sizes of stones with me because I want to take a look and talk with you a little bit more about how does the shape of a gemstone or crystal influence its healing effectiveness. The first thing I think it's really essential to keep in mind is that the inherent healing properties of a gemstone or crystal does not change regardless of what shape it is in. However, how those healing properties are distributed out into the environment, out into the world, perhaps within your own physical body or energy body. This is what I want to talk with you about so that as you work with gemstones and crystals, you can be more intentional about choosing a shape because of the intention that you are wanting to focus on when it comes to healing. Some shapes are made by machine, cutting, polishing, and shining up. And some shapes are natural. So I'd like to start with the natural and then we're going to extend out a little bit. The first thing that comes to my mind as naturally occurring shapes that can be really effective when you know how it is that they can be intentionally worked with are crystal points. Now, quartz does grow in this format where it will have points. And when we look at this, this is what's called a single termination, known as a single termination or a single point, because the crystal is growing towards one point. When you're working with a point, it's very directional. So if I want to work with this quartz to help clear away, I can point it away from me. If I want to draw in, I can point it towards me. Same if you're working with crystal grids or working with another person. The more you learn about how to work with gemstones and crystals, you can work with the points to be very intentional about what you're going to be, what kind of an intention you're placing and what kind of an outcome you can anticipate. I have other videos available that you can take a peek at on this channel that have to do with working with crystal grids and working with various types of gemstones and the elements, because all of those frequencies really come together. So as we talk about some of these different stones, I may mention something about the element that they resonate with, and then just go out and look for that video if you'd like to learn more. Some crystal points are a little bit larger, some are really tiny. I work with all sizes. Some quartz points particularly are beautiful. They're large and they're just lovely for your environment, but they're not at all practical to work with on an individual basis. So again, know what you're looking for and work with that. Some quartz is very clear and some is not so clear. I actually like working with stones that have other minerals included within them because in my experience, those tiny little trace minerals influence the healing properties of the stone themselves. So I never shy away from working with stones that may not be water clear. So those are single terminated. Sometimes you'll find stones that are double terminated, where there's a point or a termination at both ends. It's the way they grow. So this stone, for example, you would be working with energy flowing in both directions at the same time. Another great way to work with those on your chakras to help clear both up and down your chakra column, working with grids. It's great to work with double terminated stones. You will also find stones that are not quartz that have been polished and cut into either single or double terminated points, and those frequencies and energies will also work off of those, even though they've been created artificially. Another very common way to find gemstones and crystals is in the form of tumbled stones. Here's a piece of blue lace agate. The beauty of tumbled stones is that these are pieces of stone that are kind of on the wayside and could easily be left in the heap next to the mining operation. But they've been gathered, collected, tumbled up so that they can be very easy to work with. Here's a piece of labradorite. Each of these stones has, like I said, their own unique properties. And I like working with tumbled stones a lot. They're very comfortable to lay on or around the body. They slip easily into pockets or held in a hand. This is tiger's eye. Oh, I forgot to say this is chastolite. Here's an example of natural citrine, which is a quartz. But here's a piece that was left on the side of the mountain. It got all tumbled up, polished up, very easy to work with. Here's a piece of dumortierite. Beautiful stone for supporting that calming of the mind. This particular stone resonates with wind energy, and so there's a lot of times when our lives get so busy that the wind within us and the wind element is out of balance. And so learning how to work with a stone like dumortierite can be very helpful. And again, very easy to work with a piece that's very comfortable to hold on to. Other forms that are comfortable to hold on to are palm stones. So here's another piece of labradorite, this one in a very small palm stone that can be held in meditation, can be held during rest time, easily placed on the body. Here's a piece of selenite. Now, selenite is a stone that resonates with high frequencies, that crown chakra and even above that. However, it is also very vital for working with bones and ligaments and tendons. And so I like to work with selenite. Here again, very easy to hold on to, meditate with, place on or around the body. Selenite helps bring these spiritual energies and, in my experience, really helps anchor them and get them down literally into our bones so that they can not only get anchored in our bones to help us heal at a physical level, but we're also able to embody some of these higher frequencies and insights that come in through that spiritual realm and take a while to settle in and eventually manifest out into full consciousness. Here is an example of a palm stone of K2. Now, I was talking a little bit about the elements before. K2 is a stone that resonates with storm element, which means it's a very transformational stormy kind of energy. So when you think about a storm, you've got fire, that lightning is going wild. You've got a lot of rain, there's your water. You've got a lot of trembling of the ground, and that's earth. And then you've got a lot of wind. And so when all of those are dynamic and moving and balanced, then you get storm. And storm allows us to stand in the middle of all of that wildness and be at a very still point. So if you're working, for example, on finding a centered and groundedness in the midst of perhaps some chaos that you're living through, working with a piece of K2 can be really effective and very comfortable. Now, K2 also comes in different shapes. So, for example, here is again K2 in a pyramid. So we've got this pyramid that's really solid, right? Really a strong base, and yet it reaches up to the heavens. So if you are working with that storm energy, that energy of transformation, and really wanting it to really be in your environment and really help you anchor that transformation you're going through, having a K2 pyramid near you, whether you're at work or whether it's somewhere in your home, can be very, very effective. Sometimes having any of these stones, even within a foot or two of you, while you're working on a healing and nurturing yourself, or you're having a prayer and meditation time, it can be a very effective way to bring those healing properties within your space. K2 palm stone, I think I showed you that. And then here's the sphere. So when we think about the sphere is as radiating out gently in all directions. I like to, I don't have any stands right now, but sometimes I'll take a ring a little plastic ring. It doesn't have to be a fancy sphere holder. It could be an old ring that you don't wear anymore because it's too small. You can just set that there and let that healing frequency, in this case of the K2, be able to radiate out. We talked about the selenite being really a wonderful stone to bring these spiritual energies down and really get them anchored. Here's an example of a sphere of selenite, again, allowing that very gentle release of that energy throughout the entire environment. Having something like that next to your bedstand could be very effective as you're shifting and sleeping well. Here is a tower of selenite. Again, just having this in your environment somewhere, having it near you, perhaps if you have some kind of a meditation or prayer altar, or having it placed somewhere predominantly within your home is a wonderful way to ground those spiritual energies and stake and claim that your space is sacred for you. Here's a tower of K2. Those same storm element energies, that same kind of grounding, yet reaching to the heavens. And this one stands saying, I'm holding this space. I'm holding this transformational shift that is taking place within your life, within your space, and I'm holding that for you. As you work with gemstones and crystals, particularly through quietness and through meditation and prayer and reflection, you will become more familiar with the unique healing aspect that each particular stone brings you. Here is an example of a sphere of septarian. Now, septarian is a stone that resonates with earth, so it's got that grounding. It also resonates with fire. It's got calcite, and it's all about fire and transformation and lots of shifting. So if you're experiencing shifting and trying to get settled, and perhaps you're writing a book and you have all these ideas, but you're really working on getting those ideas settled down, something as simple as having a piece of calcite in a sphere. Here's another one, a little bit smaller. Look at all the calcite. Being able to hold that space for you. So in some of these shapes, they are holding the space and just gently emanating out, if they're spheres, or sending up into the heavens and anchoring if they're pyramids and towers. Here's a piece of pyrite, very much an earth element stone. Yet look at how gently it can radiate out. If you had a tower or a pyramid of pyrite, it would be almost like a double earth, because it's got such a strong iron content, and it's very good for blood, and it's very good for just really anchoring. And then you have a shape of a pyramid made out of pyrite. That's where I'm saying kind of double earth. Here is a piece of lapis lazuli that's been shaped into a stone. Now, lapis is a stone that can be really, really helpful in calming the mind and opening up to clarity and insight. And again, if that's an example of what you're working on, particularly for healing for yourself or perhaps another person, having a sphere of lapis can be really helpful. If you're working with grids, spheres, pyramids, towers, all of these shaped items are really, really wonderful for that corner anchoring stone or that center anchoring stone. Shungite is a particular stone that is very helpful for breaking up and clearing away electromagnetic frequency disruptions. And we all have lots of technology within our environments, whether we like it or not. Our cell phones, our computers, our microwaves, even simple appliances that used to be cranks are now more and more carrying electronic components. And so all of that is constantly bombarding our energy field. So in order to help our energy field remain clear, working with Shungite can be very helpful. Here is a small pyramid. Now, Shungite, again, is earth. So very much like the pyrite pyramid I was using as an example, here we have Shungite, which is earth, and then we have it in a pyramid, which is kind of like double earth. There's another piece of Shungite that I brought. This also is a pyramid, but you can see it is very elongated. This almost in some ways really extends that Shungite emanation of its healing properties outward. In fact, this particular shape will send out its healing and electromagnetic field clearing properties out several meters. So this is the sort of thing that you could have in your home, and it again is holding space and doing its work. There are two kinds of Shungite. Now, this is regular Shungite. Shungite, the elite or noble Shungite, is almost 100% carbon, and it is very friable and very fragile, and it does not withstand any kind of shaping. Whereas regular Shungite is less than 50% carbon, and so it's pretty hard, and you can find it in a lot of different shapes. So here would be an example where you want to have the properties of the Shungite radiating out, slowly filling the whole environment, but doing so in a very gentle way. So again, know the properties of your gemstones and crystals, and then understand and learn about the shapes and how those shapes influence those properties, and you'll be able to land on a more precise choice when it comes to, I'm looking for this particular gemstone or crystal in this particular shape, and you'll know why. Now, there's another shape that is often found, sometimes in nature, many times polished, and by hand or by machine, and it is the egg shape. So the egg shape is a very balanced shape. It represents both the roundness of the feminine and the elongated shape of the masculine. And so when we are thinking about how the energies in our body are balancing out, are we too feminine and too much of what's called yin in the Chinese vocabulary? Yin means receiving and water and gentleness, and we want to be gentle, but maybe binge watching TV shows, we're kind of more like a sloth than we are relaxing, and so that might be too much kind of water, too much yin. Whereas we go to the other side where we are much more yang. So we've heard perhaps of yin and yang. Yang is that masculine energy. It's an energy of action and doing, getting things done, motivation. We want to be balanced because maybe we're working way too much and we're not taking time to rest. That's the balance of the yang and the yin. And so working with an egg shape can be really helpful to remind us that we're working on balancing the masculine and feminine energies within our body, and having a egg shape sitting. And here again, you would need some kind of a ring or a little stand. There's also another stone that you perhaps have seen before and heard of. They're Shiva lingams. They come in lots of different sizes. Some are about this big, and this is a nice size for holding. A Shiva lingam is here again. It's that balanced roundness of the feminine yin, elongated of the masculine yang, and so it's a very balanced energy. It is also a stone that resonates with storm element. So this means that as you're balancing the energies in your life from not doing too much or under functioning, but being present and calm and centered in the midst of each moment, yet in a transformational way. This is where Shiva lingams can be very helpful. Here's another beautiful piece. And a larger yet. This beautifully set on a stand. When I have a number of Shiva lingams, I have a small little dish filled with sand, and they nestle right into the sand, and then they hold their position very nicely as well. So you can see that of the various shapes we've discussed, some are very feminine and gentle, some are balanced, both feminine and masculine energies, some are very, very much about being grounded and drawing up, some pull down, some are, again, small little polished pieces that were left on the side of the road. And so isn't it amazing that we've got this wide range of stones to work with? We can learn more about their properties. We can understand the shapes and what those shapes can represent for us and help us learn more and better understand how to work with these shapes and combining the properties with the shape for the outcome and healing intention that we have set aside for ourselves and for healing of others. So I invite you to continue to explore gemstones and crystals that you may have. Take an inventory of what are their shapes? What shapes are you being kind of intuitively called to collect? Which ones now maybe you're realizing, I don't have any pyramids. I want to go take a look at some pyramids. Or all I have is pyramids. I'm thinking about taking a look at some spheres or some egg shapes. So work with the stones you have. If you're curious about other stones and shapes, you can take a look at my online shop. The link is below this video as well. And as always, if you have any questions that arise, you can either send me an email. You can go ahead and drop a question in the chat box on my webpage. If I'm online, I'll answer you right away. Otherwise, I'll get back to you. And it really is about you exploring how is it that the stones are inviting you to work with them, and how is it that you are able to hear and integrate their healing message. So be well as you explore crystal healing through the various shapes and sizes and manifestations that they present in. Be well.